Hey guys, it's your girl, Jackie from the Financial Literacy Tribe, coming at you with a brand new video. So for today, we're going to be talking about my girl. I've talked about her before. She's definitely one of my favorite finance professionals in the finance world currently, and that is Gail Vaz-Oxlade. She's definitely a finance author, but I know her best from this TV show back in the 90s, because I'm old, called Till Debt Do Us Part. It was on TLC here in the US, but it's like a Canadian reality show, I guess. But it was really, really funny because she would basically bust into people's homes and evaluate their finances and like rip up their credit cards and basically try to teach them how to not be a financial hot mess, basically. But I love her. And so basically, if you ever kind of read through her books or sort of study her strategies that she has in terms of finances, personal finance, she follows a method and promotes a methodology called the life pie. And so basically what this is it's a giant pie graph, and it kind of has the percentages broken down in terms of what amount of your income you should be spending on specific categories. So this is her recommended budget. It's what she created and what it is that she promotes in terms of being the optimal personal finance budget that most people should follow. So we're going to be reviewing that today. Getting excited. I love a good budget. I love a good budget. You guys know how I feel about budgets. I get very, very excited. So let's jump right in, shall we? So for the largest portion of the pie, which, by the way, the pie represents the totality of your income. So this is the full amount that you're bringing in on a monthly basis or even on an annual basis if you'd rather calculate things that way. But so the entire pie, 100%, represents how much it is that you make, your income. And she has the largest slice of this pie. 35% of it should go towards your housing costs. And now that would include any type of a mortgage if you're paying toward a mortgage, rent if you're paying rent instead, property taxes, renter's insurance, anything that you are paying that is in any way, shape, or form related to where it is that you live, that would go under your housing costs. So according to Gail Vaz-Oxlade and this particular budgeting system, you should not be spending more than 35% of your income for any type of housing costs. You should not go over that amount. It is definitely in line. There's a lot of other finance individuals who actually say that you shouldn't be spending over 30. So 35, I think, is actually generous in comparison to those. But so yeah, that's what she says as part of her particular budgeting strategy. She has 15% of your total income being put aside for transportation costs. And so the 15% would encompass any type of a car payment if you're still paying off your car, or a lease payment if you lease your vehicle, gas to fill up your car, any type of like car maintenance at all, car insurance, all of that gets lumped together. And so in total, you should not be paying more than 15% of your total income on a monthly basis for transportation costs. Maybe you do not drive, so then this for you would instead be, I don't know, however much it is that you spend on Ubers or Lyft or any type of ride sharing service, taxi cabs if you still take taxi cabs, the subway, bus, anything that involves any type of transportation cost, it should not be more than 15% of what it is that you make. Gail has also made, as part of this budgeting system, that you should be putting away 10% of however much it is that you make on a monthly basis towards savings. And now the interesting thing is, for this particular budgeting style, she does not stipulate exactly what type of savings it should be going toward. It's just left very open-ended for you as a savings. So maybe the full 10%, you're putting it into a retirement account. maybe the full 10% you're putting it into your emergency savings. That's really up to you in terms of where specifically it is that you want to put this, as long as consistently 10% of that income is going toward some form of savings. You can even split it and say like maybe 6% is going toward retirement and 4% is going toward my emergency fund or something like that, as long as it's at least 10% of your full income is going toward savings. The next category for this particular budgeting system, which I found very interesting, and I'll tell you why in a minute, is 15% of your income is going toward debt repayment. Now, this was, in my opinion, very interesting because it's very different from what other kind of personal finance professionals recommend. Like, just as an example, we have Dave Ramsey, who's very, very big on his particular baby steps, which if you're not familiar with them, basically if I'm comparing it to this one, Dave Ramsey feels like you should have $1,000 in a savings account first. That's step one. And then after that, you are blasting and putting the majority of however much that you possibly can towards debt repayment. So that obviously is a very different strategy from this, which is basically telling you that you can live your life. It is actually possible to live your life saving money, living your life, and paying toward debt all at the same time. In my opinion, it's so much of a I don't want to say like refreshing, but it's definitely like not as aggressive in any way, shape, or form from a lot of the other kind of budgeting strategies that we're sort of familiar with. So that's one thing that I thought was very, very interesting about this. This is a great budget for somebody who's looking to sort of do it all and doesn't want to sit there and, maybe wait putting toward retirement or saving money because they have to pay off debt, or doesn't want to put their entire life on hold because they're paying off debt or because they're trying to save money. This is sort of the budgeting system if you're the type of individual who's interested in doing all of these things at the same exact time. You actually can pay off debt, save money, and live life simultaneously. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So I thought that was very interesting and very refreshing and different in comparison to some of the other kind of budgeting strategies that we see here within the US. So shout out to you, Gail. Ooh, being different. I like it. So the second largest slice, which is a full 25%, that's a quarter of all of the money that you make, is going toward a category that she just describes as life. So that's basically everything else that wasn't already mentioned, which is food, which is clothing, which is vacations, which is going out to eat or having a party or whatever, Christmas presents as an example. So basically everything else that wasn't already covered in the budget has to fit within this one kind of tiny 25% chunk. In my opinion, that is hard to do. I mean, we are talking about a very large amount of things, category of things that have to be squeezed into a small 25% of your income kind of category. So that can definitely be a challenge. But I also feel like that's kind of the whole point of it, right? The whole point of a budget is to kind of keep you in check and keep you on balance in terms of what it is that you're spending your money toward. So, this is definitely a good way to kind of stretch and pull and challenge yourself to really kind of embrace that frugal lifestyle so that you can make something like this happen if you wanted to. But yeah, that's how much it is that she allots. So a quarter of however much it is that you make basically is going to cover all of the rest of your expenses. Your cell phone bill, your Netflix subscriptions, going to the beauty salon, your clothes, your shoes, your food, all of that has to be paid with a quarter of however much it is that you make. One of the pro tips that I have for you is just because you're deciding to sort of follow these particular metrics does not mean that you can't make subcategories within the categories. So just as an example, she has 25% allotted for life. That doesn't mean that you can't sit there and say, okay, well, of that 25%, 10% of it is going to go toward my food. And so you're kind of creating your own subcategories within those categories that are kind of going to make it easier for you to kind of remember how much it is that you're allowed to spend. You are allowed to do that. There is kind of space within the margins for you to make this type of budget your own. Pros and cons. I kind of touched on this a little bit as I was speaking, but in terms of pros, in my opinion, as I mentioned, I love the fact that this type of budgeting style allows you to kind of do it all. You don't have to wait to save money. You don't have to wait to pay off debt. You can actually do them all simultaneously as you're living your life. It doesn't require you to put your entire life on hold to do one thing or the other. So I really, really like that. One of the other things that I really, really like about this particular budget is that it really sets hard limits on how much it is that you should be spending on things. I feel like a lot of times it gets really easy for us to kind of question and talk ourselves into making purchases that are maybe not the best purchases for us because they're too expensive, or they're outside of our means, or they're more than what we can afford. So this does a really good job, in my opinion, of really setting some hard limits on how much you should be spending. Maybe, as an example, you're contemplating buying a new house. Maybe you're looking into purchasing a new house. You can very clearly compare how much it is that your monthly mortgage would be and how much you would be paying towards property taxes and all that against this 35% recommendation. You can very clearly kind of compare the numbers and punch the numbers and see whether the cost of that actual home is going to fall within that 35% for you. So it's kind of a good way, to keep yourself in check and to make sure that you're not living outside of your means. In terms of negatives for this particular budget, I'm not sure that these particular metrics would be feasible for everybody. As mentioned, my personal opinion is that 25% for food, clothing, subscriptions, cell phone, life in general, going out to eat, gifts, vacations, to squeeze all of those things into 25% of what you make annually only is a bit of a stretch. I think it would be a little bit of a struggle for some people. So definitely, if you feel like you're in a position where you can really challenge yourself and really be frugal and make that happen by literally living off of a quarter of what it is that you make outside of, housing and transportation, then definitely go for it, then make it happen. But for some people, I think it would probably be a bit of a challenge. Also, the 35% rule, I like that as a percentage. Just like I had said before, there's a lot of other personal finance advocates who say that 30% is a better percentage. This is 35%, so it's being a little bit more generous. But again, depending on what part of the country it is that you're living in, maybe somebody who's living in Southern California or in Manhattan or something like that, that 35% might just be a bad joke, depending on how much it is that you make. So those particular metrics, they may not work for everybody. But certainly, if you feel like it would work for your life, then try it out. And if you do try it out, don't forget to let me know in the comments, because I would love to hear about it. Well, my beautiful people, that is going to do it for me today. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. And if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are not already subscribed. What are you waiting for? Be sure to check out my blog, which is available at focusedfrugalfab.com. And I will see you soon.